In the final months of World War II, one woman believed she could outthink her captors. She wasn't armed, just observant. And her plan was simple: use her mind to escape. But the man guarding her saw through everything. This is the story of the prisoner who tried to outsmart her guard, and what happened when he didn't take the bait. Her name was Anna Weiss, a German Red Cross nurse captured in 1945 near the Philippines. She'd been caught assisting wounded soldiers and transferred to an American-run camp while investigators determined her role. She wasn't dangerous, but she was clever, observant, patient. The camp held mostly civilians, aid workers, support staff, people caught in the wrong place when the lines shifted. Days moved slowly. The same meals, the same faces, the same barbed wire cutting the horizon into squares. To survive, she learned routine. To escape, she learned people. And there was one guard she began to watch more carefully than the others. His name was Private James Miller. Barely 20, a farm kid from Iowa with kind eyes and a rifle he never raised. Every morning, he walked the same path past her tent. Every night, he lingered by the gate longer than the others, watching the stars like he was trying to remember something. Anna noticed. It wasn't attraction. It was opportunity. She began to test him with small talk, shared stories about weather, about food, about home. The kind of harmless chatter that, over time, builds familiarity. She asked about his family. He asked about hers. She learned he missed his younger sister. He learned she'd grown up near a forest. For a moment, they weren't enemies. Just two exhausted people in a war that had already gone too far. And while they talked, she was counting. Steps between guard posts, seconds between tower sweeps, the angle of the gate lock when it opened. Every sound became a calculation. Every conversation, a layer of trust she could use. Her plan was simple. During the night patrol, she would stage a small accident. Drop her mess tin near the gate. Make it loud enough to draw attention, but innocent enough not to alarm. When he approached, she'd distract him with conversation, then slip through the moment the tower light turned away. She rehearsed it for days. Watched the tower lamps, counted the steps, memorized the rhythm of boots on gravel. On the fourth night, conditions aligned. The tower guard rotated early. Miller was alone on the east perimeter. Bye. She waited until his back was turned. Then dropped the tin. He stopped. Turned. She knelt quickly, trembling, reaching through the wire. "Please," she whispered. "I can't reach it." He looked at her, then down at the tin, and without a word, he kicked the tin back under the fence. "Go inside," he said quietly. Not angry, not cruel, just firm. She stood slowly, walked back to her tent, and realized he'd known the entire time. The next night, he spoke first. "If you try that again, they'll send you somewhere worse. Don't make me report it." She stayed silent, hands folded. For the first time, she saw something different in his expression. Not anger, not pity, just understanding. "I just wanted to go home," she whispered. He nodded once. "We all do." Silence stretched between them, like the miles separating them from everything they'd lost. He didn't report her. She didn't try again. But something had shifted. In those few words, the war became smaller, the fence less absolute. Not because rules had changed, but because two people had chosen restraint over cruelty. And in 1945, that was rarer than anyone wants to admit. Weeks later, the war ended. Orders came to release all remaining civilian POWs. The gates opened at dawn. No ceremony, no speeches. Just a quiet line of tired people walking toward trucks that would take them to processing centers, then home. Anna walked through the open gate and didn't look back. Not until she reached the road. She turned once, saw Miller standing by the fence line, watching the last prisoners leave. She didn't wave. Neither did he. But she held his gaze for a moment. In her post-war statement, filed months later with Allied authorities, she never mentioned an escape attempt. But she described a guard who treated her like a person, not a prisoner, who spoke to her like she mattered. "There were many guards," she wrote, "but only one who made me believe the war hadn't taken everything." History often remembers battles, the invasions, the victories, the names carved into monuments. But sometimes, the quiet moments reveal who we really were. This wasn't a story about romance or rescue. It was about two people who could have been enemies and chose something harder. Restraint, dignity, the smallest act of mercy in a world built on violence. For all the cruelty the war created, sometimes mercy survived it.